Alright, it's 3:13 on June 7th. So I published sorry for that, it's for my ducks. I published two dreams about the fate in the afterlife of Mr. George Floyd. And I recently started to ask anything, and I do receive it and I share it. And uh, so again, for people who don't know, there was he was in this place on the left, and like a townhouse. You can walk through houses like you would see like cheap, like townhouses, like ghetto kind of style. Not ghetto, but I don't know my English. Okay, so he was living in there in Toronto. There's a lot. You see a building which is sometimes government and some townhouses around, and there is downtown too. So these kind of stuff that you would hope if you go with the government to have one of those for family or for yourself. So I don't know. I never lived in a place government, so I always disdain that. So anyway, so this guy is on the left and he has his daughter on the back. At the other edge on the right, there's like a woman. I don't know if it's his ex, and between her and Lloyd, the other side, there's this skinny man, and these were killers. And I felt that himself was maybe a killer before. It was like kind of Bonnie and Clyde, not video game but scene, and he wanted to go, like he was facing and the other ones were facing them, so that's jealousy there. Maybe he was like not a father figure for people around, but since like it's in jail, the bigger guy, people look at him, how he's doing, and he had muscle but maybe gentle, they say now, some video, or maybe not, how he's doing things. Maybe he was plugging people instead of doing too much bad himself or dealing to not attract attention. Went in jail 5 years, doesn't want to do. Bottom line, he's protecting his daughter and he's trying to reform himself for the afterlife, like the video he did. You don't know if you're going up or down, and he probably knew if you play with gun, people look at you, the tall guy tough, they think about you if they wanna aim at somebody fast. So that woman, maybe there was jealousy, but there was like those killers. But I was not afraid as a witness, and I think he would not be afraid if he has to live that in eternity. The light, I said that it was dim, about 80% a bit dark, but just on the borderline that it will start to hurt you inside. It's like a night where there's no. So why I say that he might relive this is that after this I felt like it was cut short, like his life on earth. But then I saw on the right like five same thing, rectangular kind of a, or square, like visions, same kind of a environment, same light. You would see like it's almost a reproduction, but there were nobody in there. But the same thing on the right, one, two, three, four. So I started to realize when I woke up that this was his life that would have been, and now I'm thinking also both that works for that and his life in eternity. And I woke up, I'm like, oh, that's not too good, because the killer environment and stuff. But I was not afraid, so I think that if he lives that, he's not afraid. I'm a guy that has never been afraid of nobody. And if somebody that looked like bigger, I was sick all my life, I would have been twice as big as much. And even now, I was like, God forbid, like punching like a heavyweight. And I was scared of fighting all my life, and I got sick really young. 20 years old. I've never been healthy in my life. So, but this, if this is angelic power, whatever you call it, and I'm not a sellout, a sport guy or something, you have to think whatever I'm saying here. Those are thoughts before in my word, in my mind, that he's not afraid. He's not a guy afraid too, probably. So I could live that as a revelation. So don't think, the afterlife testimony. Some people say, oh, I've seen some famous people and he's petrified. So he doesn't live that. He's like, he doesn't really care. And it seems like, because the second dream, so I woke up, I was like, oh, that's not too good. It was very early, so God knew that I'm gonna go back to sleep because of my poor health. So I go back to sleep or other things, and then I got the second dream that I'm suddenly alone and it's almost zooming on me, and something is about to happen, and I feel great, just like if it's almost like not Christmas, but somebody's gonna give me something, that kind of, that you're gonna get something but you don't know what it is. That good feeling lasted for about 2 seconds, and something like floating like a hand but invisible, and I couldn't draw the outside of the hand, but it was a hand put this crown on me, the crown of leaves. Maybe he was smoking weed. You see, it was not a crown of flowers, but it was not disgusting. It was not devil laughing around. It was not disgusting. It was not like dead leaves. It was fresh leaves, like green leaves, like medium fresh. And it was paused. It was not dead. It will be alive if it's flowers, you know, not dead yet. And it was put on my head, and there was no mockery of it. It was just a good feeling. Actually, I woke up, the first thought I said, yeah, I'm gonna be a martyr. I know from studying that it's either white martyrdom or red martyrdom. Red martyrdom is your life's cut short. White martyrdom is you suffer all your life, and actually it's better. In a sense, why it's better? Well, there's more sufferance on day-to-day life and people don't know. For me, that's the hardest point. For me, it's not giving my life. I'm not scared. You see, I'm not scared. I even had a vision. I was just bowing down my head slowly when they chopped it. The Asian here, and that's another thing, if it comes to pass, 10 years ago. But for me here, like Jesus said, how much more time I'm gonna be here coping with you? For me, it's this. God gave me an intelligence. I couldn't use it as an artist. I made a big mistake one time. Since then, lost my health and everything. Is coping with all this. That's why you've seen me. More recently after this channel swearing, it's not really where my heart is. It's just like everything, and I didn't like where I come back. So okay, so is so I'm finally get to the point is that what I wanted to add, I just spoke about this for people who haven't seen. I did my first take and second take with this thing, but now, and I think this is what he lives after that. He receives a crown all the time. He doesn't know why, but it's a good feeling. So why? I think that, I think he knew about God. He did a selfie and everything, but I think he was not completely ready for heaven and the light. As probably like one time I fell in love with a woman. I fell down and God told me you love her more than God. You gotta put your love in God. If you put your love in God, you put love on other people through God. Whatever is your family. You cannot put your wife first, then you're gonna fail with God. You might not wake up in hell, but you're gonna wake up in some dark place or a dim light if you were not a bad guy. If you were doing drugs bring prostitute, brings other things. Because my third dream, I asked for sporting, and there was a scene where I took some drink and vodka with the water. I said, that's for the woman. I put it a lot, and the guy looks at me with big eyes because it's like a Spanish guard that was Wolfberg, and me, I was representing Werman Verven. They both W. So on my left, I give to that woman. I didn't know I asked any team, but I figured out it's them among, I don't know, 20, 30 people who were playing whatever today. So I give us a woman first. He buy the drink, the vodka, and he's doing it himself. We put in water in each, but I put it completely for, and I lost 1-0-1 because woman first, then he puts, but he puts it all, so nothing more to me. He's like a snake, a wolf, a wolf. He says, and I'm like, oh, I said, okay, I'm buying the next one. And he's pouring everything, and he says, yeah, buy the next one. And then I'm like going down in a convenience store where I was one time for a girl, a prostitute that wanted to buy a pipe or something, and I heard don't go. And you see, I was going down to buy the liquor in the movie. But I recognized this place in my living many years ago where I went there one time to do this. And in the back, there was some buildings of things. And I heard the voice of God above. Like many times in the dream, don't go. And I did. You see, I didn't do those drugs. I tried many months or later on. And I did. But for a woman at that time. I'm ashamed to say it, but this is what happened. And yeah, I just had finished with my girlfriend, whatever excuse I can give, and I went. But God said don't go, and I heard like tomorrow, and I went. And yesterday I thought, going to a woman or something like every 6 months, every year in the last 2 years. And yesterday I had this thought, sometimes you're like, okay, you're doing everything, you're resting every day, but sometimes the food is okay, getting better, the rest is okay, getting better, and suddenly the woman comes, or you gotta pray on your knees. And yesterday I did my things, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should have went. And then God knew that, and He gives me that. Don't go tomorrow. Don't go tomorrow. Like I would have bought that Laker. And when I did the Laker, God said it. He said it to the sport. The guy was snake. They score at the last time. Don't go. And he traded the guy at the 80 minutes, and the replacement did a yellow card, and then they did a free kick and a goal. So it was the fault of the other guy. They trade the guy, don't go. And the guy name was Sargent. And both their German teams, they share a both W like a drink. But the guy in front of me, like Spaniard, they're more like dark people in the team from other countries like Portugal, and that's why he was looking Spaniard. So God gives me everything, but it's not only sports. And it's also the third thing with this Floyd thing. You see, maybe that was his weakness too. Don't go, but he knew the voice of God. But eh, sometimes for woman, if he wasn't not doing the drugs, sometimes maybe that was his weakness. You understand? His ex-wife was finished too. I don't know the reason, and that's it. So he's not living that part. That part was different. But don't go. You see, maybe he's living different scenes. And I did win. And I bet 0-0, and obviously I lost, and I was doing the movie of things, but that's okay. It was not a lot because I knew don't. And it's Sunday, and yesterday I said I needed a break. And I know Sunday you're not supposed to do something. I started to have the energy for not doing it, and it was time for me to take a break, and I did, because as soon as I looked which match was already on the go. So God knew to save my day. So this Floyd thing, what I wanted to ask now, I did the whole round of things. I think he leave the first two scenes. Maybe God knows a third, but I don't think so. Like around the ghetto and stuff, just like I was. Don't. But I think that sometimes he knew that the voice of God didn't want that, but he did. Also spoke that your life is cut short sometimes because otherwise would have been worse. So God let it happen. Jesus said, not a bird fall unless he lets it happen. So whatever at that time you're ready or not to be in heaven, you have to live like that. But if you don't deserve hell, there's purgatory also, which is a fire of missing of God, that he was not in there. God knows if you sleep, but they don't say that you sleep in purgatory. But now I wanted to add something about sleeping. See, when somebody dies, Jesus said he's sleeping. And this is a pure theological thing that I want an answer soon. And I think it's very, very heavy and deep. And like the common guy will say another level. But I don't know if any theologian or saint spoke about this. And when you die, you see, one time I died in 2005 and I wish I was dead. I was so in pain and bedridden for years that I said, Jesus, I want to go. And then I saw a light, and like I tried to kill somebody one time, the same matter. Because if you're word by the sword or whatever you did, you're gonna get killed by the same even in your sleep. Jesus don't lie. And I saw that person, the dead, did that to me. The same thing I tried, but I did not succeed by the grace of God in the reality. So, and then I saw this tunnel at the same time with the light. But I woke up. When I said that, I just said repeat the words of Job or something, probably through proud. I still ain't got in life. I woke up because I wanted to. Shortly after, what happened? Uh, came another death scene. I think, but it was with Michael Jackson, and I know a lot of people have reported Michael Jackson, especially one guy that reported famous people that says he's dancing, the devil makes him dance, and I believe that kind of guy, okay, because the other stuff I do, and I say, why me? I saw him otherwise. And this is the point, theological point I want to say. Is there a difference with timing outside, even though there's no time, there is a time? So I start to reflect on this in the last hour. Let me explain here. This guy, what do you call him? Michael Jackson. I was in a kind of a field like this. He was going about and there's like 10, 12, 15, 20 people around. Like people he would have gathered in the outer life through him came to Jesus or so. It was not hell at all, but it was not a lot of light at all. But people were still going about with smiles, and some guy bumped into me a little bit, and I freaked out a little bit. I didn't like, and the guy said he has hair, just like hair. And at the same time I'm looking at Michael Jackson. There was people almost between us in the in the grass or something, and he looks at me with a half smile. I never forgot that dream. I never published it. So me, I'm saying, why did I see him? Many times I asked myself, even one time in preaching, why did I see him, Michael Jackson, dead, not in heaven, not in hell, just around, like easygoing, a bit like dim, just like in a sort of a light out of darkness. But outer darkness is more like, you're crying, like Jesus said, I guess. Not a real good place. And to support that, even Catholics like I am, we know that there's spirits of dead sometimes that are not in heaven and they're haunting places. And this is happening because I lived that one time. Would that be some devils to trick you, think that they're haunted and they're in some places because you deserve it? I was close to here one time. I rented the place. There was a family of dying soul. One little girl, one man, and one wife. The man, the first night I slept there, he grabbed me and he pinched me with his tail of devil. The next time I heard the daughter crying in the fire, little fire where you put the fire, she was locked in there. So the guy was not nice. I had many ones. The woman tried to splash me with the water, blessed water. I took the whole bottle. I felt the water. I woke up, I'm like, huh? One time she trying to enter me when I looked the Emily Rose movie, the same thing, but didn't work. So I went to see the priest. He was like, I said, well, where are those? I was not even Catholic. The guy left the place within, I don't know how many. And other times I asked the lady, what is this? She says, oh, we're many. One time I got a phone. She was trying to tell me that 2 people, the pound that you saw before, probably here, because the house is 5 minutes. It was dark, like 1930s, whatever. And there's a mystery here in Toronto. 2 people went, it was 2 guys, went to do skates, ice skate, and boom, and the phone rang. And at that time was about 2005. There was a lot of new shows on TV about ghost encounters. Was even in Toronto. I thought about calling them and saying and stuff like that. And I asked, one time I was a painter, 2 artists. She said, the little girl, that's my favorite. Until I said to the little girl, don't be afraid. I spoke loud voice like this. I said, there's a light. Jesus did that for you. He died for your sin, because their parents probably didn't explain. I think they died from a fire. And I said, don't be afraid. Take the light. They never had a trouble after that. Never. Even from the guys, never. You see, the little girl had to hear about it maybe. And then the parents, I don't know where they went. I don't know if they asked forgiveness, and I don't know. You see, or is it the trickery of the devils? I don't think so. Also, when he pinched me, he called me a devil, a demon, which probably at that time I was trying to get away of God and just doing my artist thing. A fucking snake there. You know, the fucking bicycle, I won't swear, on the left. Ding, ding, ding. The fucking snake. They're snakes too. Trying to cut me between 2 things like you pass. Those are things that you have to eyes to see. Ah, man, this is what I hate, coronavirus. I came here 10, 12 years ago, man. There was nobody in hours. Oh, it's all bullshit, man. Anyways, it might be good for them. Toronto didn't know how to not even take some peace. Anyways, too bad for me. Now, to go back to this, the heck, it doesn't stop. Okay, so if Michael Jackson, I saw him there 2005, 2005, I mean, this guy was not even dead in 2005. How the heck all this time? It's like almost like God remove a pin, and it's first time I'm saying this because my head is intact, I think. Despite this car, it didn't went deep. There's no hole. I'm just saying that's not my cross. It's from here, and that's the eyes, and that's different. But it seems like maybe from this time. That's funny. Let me explain. There's a testimony I almost saw yesterday that some people saw and reported. But I hate when there's testimony with robots. Like, why are you scared, man? Show your face. Like, if there's a system tomorrow, it's gonna be for everyone. God will make you invincible if he wants. Like, what the heck is this bullshit, man? Anyways, I hate those Christians don't show themselves, man. You know, nobody wants to hear a robot speaking. At least not me. We don't even know if it's fake or not sometimes. We have to see this interaction, this thought. This is how you don't hide lies too. Anyways, she says that she saw many famous people in hell, but then she named people that are still alive. And then Jesus says, yes, there are people that are still alive, like Britney Spears and all that stuff I saw yesterday, but I listened for 30 seconds. And I was asking myself, and I was exactly in the video in that spot. I scrolled down, all the text was there. And Jesus said, if they die, that's where they would go. Some people, their time is up, they're already there. You see, at that time in 2005, I saw Michael Jackson with people. If I would have died, but probably God didn't know not, I would have been in there. Now, if Michael Jackson would have died later, and if this happened like the guy said he saw him in hell, God forbid, dancing in front of devils that torments him, maybe it's after he become worst. You see, let's say right now, every second you have yourself somewhere in the afterlife. Is it hell, heaven, between, in darkness, in both darkness and hell? There's that too. In outer darkness with hell, there's different kinds of hell. Everything is just for you and for me, all different. No. And this is changing all the time, so that's why you have to take this life serious. Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack. Hey, my friends, this is how you feed a duck, not with a book. Remember Mountbatten, the duck or a thing, when I did and I spoke about him, the next day the things. I like this sometimes, you know, testimony, but the bad thing that I did not mention is that after that, is it a duck or a rabbit? That's what people do. It's not fun. Manipulation of DNA. That's another sign of times for you guys. Jesus showed me that many times. Half snake, half grass, and half duck, and half little dog. Gross. They do those testing. Obviously, it's not in the air because people will revolt. It's an abomination. Imagine the air of that place and the smell and the devils. Now, this the future seems disgusting, eh? Quack, 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 quack. The lady didn't want. I called them. They know me for days. First time I feed them, he thanked me in spirit that day. I came back another day or so, and today I feed in the morning. I came back, I prank him. Prank, prank. They came. The lady doesn't want. Quack, 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 quack. And just the guy came back. I move him without food because they reserved their strain. And this time he flew over. I didn't prank him. He learned how to move. So guys, you know what I want to say is, or people, is I was asking myself, give me 1 second here, man. So this guy, quack, quack, I was saying, lady didn't came. See, I was saying, well, now I got a solution, but I was about to say, when you die, if you sleep, is there a way that if you're not in hell and not in heaven, but might go in hell after a couple years, depending on how people are praying for you or not, or resurrect you or not, but in the name of Jesus, a miracle? There might be only 2 days though. They're so dust now because I came down. And I think that's the answer, because what I'm saying here is keep the rest for me, even if I don't like that, buddy. And what's my drink? And alright, a little bit more for you. You'll bring me joy here. And excuse me, I shouldn't eat in front of public. But guys, so yeah, he might live there. That explain. It was not even the time. And if somebody sees somebody different, one of them is either a liar or, like I said, the guy said Elvis Presley was in a rag in a sort of museum. And where are you? Camera wants to see you. Don't worry, I'll protect you. Where are you? I don't see him. That's a rock. Yeah. You're shy? and and he saw him a skeleton though, and the eyes like this. And me, when I pray, I say, "Oh no, Elvis," and the hand, left hand was like this. I'll take my hand, take my whole life, fall in love with you. Under the hurt, so under is probably rotten, like in skeleton, dressing rags maybe, sort of museum, like he said, was dark. That's how he felt it, like in the Sheol, maybe. Said his eyes were like this. Maybe he has his eyes and he was freaking if there's a worm coming to his eyes. Only at the eyes. Like the eyes were shining, but not the rest of the body. So God still gave him his eyes, but he's freaking. It's not a good thing. He's there, a worm is gonna come anyway. So bad, eh? And just the end because he did something, it's a mockery, but that's how it is when you mock. Take my whole life too, and why would you say that? But at least it's almost a mockery as this. Okay, people are still family and feelings, so all I can say is that you're going to heaven or hell alone with some people, but uh, sometimes if you're in heaven, God's wiping all your tears off, even if you miss some family. For that, I think Saint Francis, at the end of his life, prayed so much, apparently he lost sight. And when he was young, his father said, continue the business, he didn't want. And I think he did so much for people at the end that one of the things, I don't know if he was ready enough in spirit when his father was gone, or if he lost his father biological, and he cried for that so much, thinking I should have listened if it meant to save him, and then I'll still save people. Maybe it was not time to go home. I thought about this many times, and and that could have bring him griefs for eternity, but once he's in heaven, God's wiping your tears. So you know even if you're a great saint and 1,000 and somebody was his time up, when his time up, usually when you played with fire many times and God's wants you before, and you know him and difference, and we don't know what kind of degree he plunged his head, Jesus, what kind of degree in the afterlife, if they don't make it or not. Anyways, hey buddy, because you wipe your head on the water, give me a little something different here. Try, try to be my friend, eh? Clank, clank, clank. Where's your wife? She didn't come because I pranked. First, she came first. She's usually ahead of you. All of you guys. Now, huh? You don't want to hear. You just want food. Huh? When I say you're pretty last time, I heard no, and then I said, well, around the neck, and I heard yes. The plumage is great. Just that the feet are not nice. You know, guys, he's coming close. The feet are not nice. He doesn't like the camera. The feet are not nice, and guess what feet they give to that poor dog? Those feet. That's human, you know. But that's okay, you know. One time in basketball, I was winning. I heard like feet of the devil, and it was like the Raptors, like this three. But besides that, well, he's swimming with it at least, you know. Oh, once more. That was for me. And the point of fact is that sometimes if you repeatedly live something in the afterlife, God can do it repeatedly and you still don't know that it's repeat. Like You always relive it, just like a dream. You don't know you're dreaming and you live it. I'll give you 10 times, you might not know it, and you're still gonna live something. Quack, quack, quack. And God can do anything, so maybe that's his fate, but it's not the worst, it's not the best. And at the end of the day, we're not the one that played with fire, we're not the one that follow more or less God like he did, we're not the one, etc. And if his life cut short was maybe for the best. I did saw that it would have been the same, and maybe now at least he has a crown, maybe before he wouldn't have. You know, that little feeling of good, of achievement, at least he has this. And after that he went to buy with the woman. Maybe that was his downfall too. Had to do with the sport, but God knows what I would have asked. And first I ask any sport, and maybe he chose one specially for that. I let that free. And sometimes even when I ask, God is ahead, probably knows too, to a certain degree, and he still makes something work, at least the message. Quack, quack. Hey, this guy called his girlfriend finally. I think she's coming. He went there, quack, quack, quack. He called her. Now she's coming. He's like, he's not pranking us. This time he has it. I just did it once today. Quack, 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 quack. I still have. Quack, quack, quack. Oh, they're kids. I think they're quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. Oh, yeah, little kid. Quack, 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 quack. Ah, that's the wife. She's much younger. He lets her come and feed. Quack, 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 quack. That's too big for her. And that's it, man. I think. So, people, while we pray for the dead, in case you don't know, yes, it's in scriptures, and yes, it does help. Some people that wouldn't be in hell, and I don't know if in hell it's still helping them a little bit, but for sure, it's for what I think is, is scriptures and stuff. It's like when you're in purgatory, it helps you to reach heaven easier, and then they help you back, obviously, and they're glad to do it because they're waiting that this hurt is passing for a new kind of heaven. Not waiting, but then that's what they can do to help people the most too. And angels of God, they're very good, and they would like to be here to do good because that's all they can do is good. They didn't fall, so uh, one thing quality they're really missing these duck is that, I mean, that's how their character is. Like, you can eat 10 times and not the girl behind. He doesn't really share like other animals. Like, it's the first one who gets it. Maybe that makes them strong, but I don't really like it. Buddy, share, you call. But you know what? I think the dogs are very hungry all the time. Sometimes I see starving like a duck. They're going around, and sometimes there's no food. I've seen in Vancouver. You're like, what is he eating? Like planktons? Hey, come on, man. Share with the girl too, man. Woman first, just like I had this dream, man. Woman first.